Instead of the high-octane thrillers Hollywood loves, imagine a board meeting. A grim one. The CEO, pale and sweating, presents the quarterly report. Abysmal ROI, sky-high operational costs, catastrophic employee turnover, and a near-guaranteed long-term stay in a high-security facility. This, surprisingly, is the true economic reality of most bank robberies. For decades, popular culture has romanticized the bank robber. The cunning mastermind, the daring outlaw, the anti-hero who sticks it to the man. We envision vaults overflowing with cash, a clean getaway, and a life of luxury. The cold, hard truth, however, is far less glamorous and significantly less profitable. From a purely economic perspective, robbing a bank is, for the vast majority of aspiring criminals, an astoundingly terrible business decision. It's often worse than minimum wage, with risks that include decades behind bars and a very high probability of ending up dead. Let's break down the typical business model. First, capital investment. You need a weapon, a disguise, a getaway vehicle, possibly a crew. These aren't cheap, even if acquired through illicit means. A decent firearm, even on the black market, carries a price tag, often with additional costs for ammunition and silencers, if one is thinking professional. The perfect disguise isn't just a ski mask, it requires planning. Perhaps multiple layers of clothing for quick changes, maybe even some prosthetic work if you're aiming for the big leagues of identity obfuscation. Then there's the getaway car, which needs to be fast, reliable, and untraceable, likely meaning it's stolen, adding another layer of risk, potential charges, and the cost of disposing of it later. But the costs don't stop there. Think about reconnaissance, surveillance of the target bank, understanding shift changes, security protocols, camera blind spots. This demands time, which is a resource, and potentially specialized equipment like binoculars or even drones. Each of these elements adds to the overhead, chipping away at the potential profit before a single dollar even changes hands. It's an investment with highly uncertain returns, a venture capitalist's nightmare. Now, consider the product, physical cash. In an increasingly cashless society, the average bank branch doesn't actually store vast sums of physical currency. Most transactions are digital, existing only as entries in a ledger. Tellers have limited amounts in their drawers, often equipped with die packs designed to explode and ruin the loot, rendering it worthless. The main vault might hold more, but it's a fortress protected by time locks, reinforced steel, and a battery of alarms, often connected directly to law enforcement. The amount of actual usable cash a lone robber or even a small crew can extract in the few minutes before law enforcement arrives is often shockingly low. We're talking a few $1,000s, perhaps tens of thousands on a truly exceptional day. Consider this inventory management problem. High-value items are under lock and key. Low-value items are easily accessible, but come with built-in self-destruct mechanisms. Divide that meager haul by the number of people involved, and the individual take quickly dwindles. It's like trying to rob a convenience store for its change jar, but with federal charges attached. The competitive landscape for bank robbers is, to put it mildly, brutal. Their primary competitors are highly funded, technologically advanced, and relentlessly persistent law enforcement agencies. The FBI, local police, and even private security firms are not just reactive, they are proactive. They share intelligence, analyze patterns, and utilize every tool from facial recognition to license plate readers. Every bank is essentially a data collection hub designed to assist in your capture. The market for bank robbery is thus heavily regulated, not by tariffs or trade agreements, but by a legal framework designed to put you away for a very long time. This is a market where the odds are fundamentally stacked against the entrepreneur, where the cost of failure isn't bankruptcy but incarceration. The risk-to-reward ratio is where the model completely collapses. The probability of capture for bank robbery is notoriously high, often exceeding 75% in many jurisdictions. Federal agents and local police have dedicated task forces equipped with sophisticated surveillance and investigative tools. Forensic science is advanced, leaving few traces unturned. Eyewitnesses, ubiquitous security cameras, and even GPS trackers on getaway vehicles leave a digital breadcrumb trail that is almost impossible to erase. The penalties, if caught, are severe. Federal charges, lengthy prison sentences that stretch into decades, and crippling restitution orders. Imagine the labor cost of a few $1,000s when measured against 10 to 15 years of your life spent in a concrete box, enduring the sheer monotony and loss of freedom. That's an hourly wage measured in literal sense if you're extremely lucky. Most legitimate entry-level jobs offer vastly better compensation for far less stress and absolutely no risk of lead poisoning or becoming a long-term guest of the state. So, if the numbers are so brutally against them, if the potential profit is minimal and the cost of doing business astronomical, why do people still try to rob banks? What kind of twisted economic logic, what desperate calculus of risk and reward drives individuals to pursue a venture with such overwhelmingly negative returns? And are there any scenarios where this broken business model actually yields a profit, even a meager one, for those who manage to beat the odds? The answer, as always, lies not just in the cold, hard data, but in the unseen variables, the human element that defies pure spreadsheet analysis and often common sense itself. This is where the true mystery of the crime economy begins. The mystery isn't a complex equation, but often a simple yet fatal miscalculation, a profound failure in basic risk assessment. For many, the draw isn't a rational pursuit of profit, but the raw, unadulterated thrill, the electrifying adrenaline spike that no legitimate stock market gamble could ever hope to provide. It's the ultimate anti-establishment statement, a defiant middle finger to the very system that often feels rigged against them, a perverse form of social protest meticulously wrapped in a ski mask and a stolen identity. This psychological dividend, while entirely intangible on a balance sheet, frequently dwarfs the actual monetary gain in the fevered minds of the perpetrators. They aren't seeking a sound investment strategy or a sustainable cash flow. They're chasing a feeling, a fleeting moment of absolute power, a desperate sense of control in lives that often feel utterly out of control. This, then, is a business model primarily driven by unchecked ego, blind desperation, and a profound misunderstanding of market realities, rather than by sober quarterly earnings reports or meticulous financial projections. But even a thrill seeker, caught in the intoxicating rush, needs a budget, a venture capital outlay for their ill-conceived enterprise. The initial capital investment for a bank robbery, despite the glamorized Hollywood narrative, can be surprisingly substantial. First, there's the weaponry. While a cheap, easily acquired pistol might get you through the front doors, a truly serious operation demands more sophisticated firepower, often acquired from the black market at exorbitant prices, with a hefty premium attached for untraceable origins and the tacit promise of plausible deniability. Then, the indispensable getaway vehicle, not just any car, but one meticulously stolen, perhaps subtly modified for speed or concealment, and definitively disposable, representing a significant sunk cost that provides zero long-term asset value once the job is done. Disguises, a crucial element for forensic countermeasures and identity obfuscation, are often overlooked in their complexity. Think multiple layers of clothing, wigs, prosthetics, or even just well-chosen balaclavas and dark glasses, each a distinct line item on the criminal balance sheet. Yet, perhaps the most expensive cost of all, in terms of time and raw risk, is reconnaissance. This isn't a quick Google search. It involves weeks, sometimes months, of painstaking surveillance, meticulously studying security camera blind spots, analyzing shift changes, understanding alarm system protocols, and timing local police response to the second. This is unpaid, high-risk labor, an extensive investment of precious time and personal freedom that could, with a modicum of legitimate effort, easily be spent acquiring a marketable skill. Even assuming our intrepid entrepreneur actually manages to make it out the door with a bulging bag of cash, the operational challenges have only just begun, and the revenue stream is immediately subject to severe, almost instantaneous erosion. A significant, often unpredictable portion of the take is almost certainly marked with die packs, rendering it not just worthless, but a literal smoking gun, an undeniable piece of evidence that screams stolen. Even unmarked bills need to be painstakingly laundered, a complex and perilous process that typically involves a fence or a shadowy network of illicit businesses, each demanding a hefty commission for their services. This can easily cut the already meager gross profit by 30, 40, or even 50%, transforming a seemingly substantial haul into a pittance, a mere fraction of its face value. The liquidation value of stolen, unlaundered cash is shockingly low, especially when compared to its nominal worth. It's akin to trying to sell a luxury sports car for scrap metal prices, simply because you lack the legitimate paperwork to prove ownership or transfer title. The market for hot money is always a buyer's market, and the seller is usually in no position to negotiate. Not all bank robberies, however, are created equal in their flawed design. There are, broadly speaking, two primary business models at play within this peculiar niche of the crime economy. On one end, you have the opportunistic, often amateur, smash-and-grab operation. These are typically desperate individuals, frequently acting alone, driven by an immediate urgent need rather than any semblance of strategic foresight or long-term planning. Their overhead is minimal, perhaps a cheap, easily obtained firearm and a quickly stolen car, but their return on investment is equally abysmal, and their capture rate astronomically high. They represent the corner store lemonade stand of the crime economy. Low barrier to entry, minimal startup costs, but almost guaranteed to fail spectacularly. On the other end of the spectrum reside the highly organized professional outfits. These are the veritable corporate entities of the illicit world, orchestrating meticulously planned operations with multiple employees, each assigned specialized roles and often leveraging invaluable insider information. Their initial investment in intelligence gathering, specialized equipment, and a network of personnel is far greater, but their success rate, though still profoundly low by any legitimate business standard, is comparatively higher, and their potential payouts significantly larger. They are the venture capitalists of crime, willing to risk considerably more for a bigger, albeit still highly unlikely, jackpot. Yet, even these professional firms face an increasingly hostile and rapidly transforming market. The global financial landscape is inexorably shifting towards a cashless society, with fewer physical transactions occurring daily. Significantly less physical currency is kept on hand in bank branches. This fundamentally reduces the potential inventory available for physical theft. Why risk decades in a federal penitentiary for a few $1,000s when the average branch might only have that much liquid cash on a slow Tuesday afternoon? It's like attempting to rob a blockbuster video store in 2024. The physical target still technically exists, but the truly valuable assets, the inventory worth stealing, are long gone, migrated to digital platforms. The advent of sophisticated digital security systems, biometric authentication protocols, and lightning-fast law enforcement response units has systematically transformed the once romanticized bank vault into a near impenetrable fortress, guarded not just by steel, but by a web of invisible technology. The market conditions for traditional bank robbery have simply deteriorated to the point where the once viable business model is utterly obsolete. So, if the physical cash is rapidly disappearing and the security measures are escalating exponentially, what exactly are these desperate entrepreneurs targeting now? Is the traditional bank robbery business truly dead, a relic of a bygone era, or has it merely undergone a profound evolution, shifting its focus from tangible currency to something far more elusive, infinitely more valuable, and exponentially harder to track? The answer might genuinely surprise those still clinging to the romanticized Hollywood-fueled image of the masked bandit fleeing into the sunset with sacks overflowing with cold, hard cash. It's not about the vault anymore, not in the way Hollywood loves to show it. The real jackpot, the modern equivalent of those overflowing sacks of cash, exists not in steel-reinforced rooms but as fleeting pulses of electricity, stored on servers guarded by algorithms, not armed guards. We're talking about data, personal identities, financial records, intellectual property, corporate secrets, everything from your mother's maiden name to the nuclear launch codes of a fictional superpower. This is the new gold standard, the digital currency that fuels a far more insidious and profitable criminal enterprise. Imagine the traditional bank as a physical branch, its cash reserves dwindling to pocket change. Now, picture the entire global financial network as one sprawling, interconnected digital vault, constantly expanding, constantly changing. The robbers of today don't need getaway cars or masks. They need sophisticated code, zero-day exploits, and a deep understanding of network vulnerabilities that would make a seasoned cryptographer weep. Their weapons are not firearms from the black market bought with dirty cash, but meticulously crafted malware, spear phishing campaigns, and social engineering tactics so cunning they can bypass even the most robust multi-factor authentication systems. The reconnaissance phase involves scanning vast digital landscapes for weak points, not staking out a physical location with binoculars, but patiently mapping an organization's entire digital footprint, looking for the smallest crack in the code. The return on investment for these digital heists dwarfs the paltry sums available in a physical branch. A single, well-executed data breach can yield millions of consumer identities, each a valuable commodity on the dark web, traded like shares on a clandestine stock exchange. These identities are then bundled, sold, and repurposed for everything from credit card fraud to elaborate ransomware schemes, creating a cascading chain of illicit revenue streams that can span continents. The risk profile shifts dramatically too. Instead of facing immediate armed response, high-speed chases through city streets, and the very real chance of a bullet, the digital bandit operates from the deepest shadows, often from thousands of miles away, their physical person never directly exposed to danger. The capture rate for these digital perpetrators remains astronomically lower than for their analog counterparts, a stark testament to the complex jurisdictional challenges, the sheer anonymity offered by the internet, and the constantly evolving cat-and-mouse game between cybercriminals and law enforcement. This isn't just about stealing money. It's about stealing the very fabric of trust and identity that underpins our modern society. The bank being robbed isn't just a financial institution with a vault. It's any entity that stores valuable data. Hospitals holding sensitive patient records, government agencies with national security secrets, tech companies guarding proprietary algorithms, even your smart home devices collecting intimate daily habits. The teller is now anyone with an email address, a weak password, or a click-happy finger, unwittingly opening the digital doors to their personal information. The vulnerability has shifted from the physical integrity of a building to the digital hygiene of billions of individuals and organizations, often woefully unprepared for such a sophisticated assault. The stakes are exponentially higher, the targets more numerous, and the potential for widespread societal disruption far more profound than any armored car heist could ever achieve. The romanticized image of the bank robber is dead, replaced by a ghost in the machine. But if the conventional bank robbery has truly evolved into this invisible, omnipresent threat, what does that mean for the average person, whose entire digital life is now essentially the new bank vault, constantly under siege, and often without even realizing it? The true cost of this digital gold rush is only just beginning to reveal itself. The true cost of this digital gold rush is only just beginning to reveal itself. It means the average individual is no longer just a spectator to the drama of crime, but an unwitting shareholder in the world's most vulnerable financial institution, their own digital existence. Every password, every online purchase, every shared photo is a security deposit in a vault that can be breached not by a drill or dynamite, but by a phishing email or a cleverly crafted line of code, exploiting human error rather than structural weakness. The irony is bitter, almost laughable. While we scoffed at the low ROI of physical bank jobs, the modern digital heist offers an unparalleled return for its perpetrators, with minimal physical risk and a global reach. The getaway car is now an encrypted VPN, the disguise a fake IP address, and the loot can be converted into untraceable cryptocurrency with a few clicks, vanishing into the ether. This isn't just about losing money, it's about losing control over who you are, piece by digital piece. Identity theft, data breaches, and ransomware attacks are the new stick-ups, executed not with a shotgun pointed at a teller, but with a keyboard, targeting the very fabric of your online presence. The cost to society isn't just the millions stolen, or even the billions in recovery efforts, but the profound erosion of trust in digital systems, the endless hours spent recovering from digital trauma, and the constant nagging fear that somewhere someone knows too much about you and can weaponize that knowledge. The romanticized outlaw of Hollywood, who once held up a bank for a few $1,000s and a fleeting moment of notoriety, seems almost quaint, a relic from an era when crime had a face, a place, and a predictable set of parameters. Their era of high-risk, low-reward operations is definitively over. Today, the most successful criminals aren't those who kick down doors, but those who silently slip through firewalls, exploiting the very connectivity we've come to depend on. They are the true economic innovators of the illicit market, having perfected a business model that scales infinitely, with higher profit margins and significantly lower chances of spending decades in a high-security facility. The lesson is clear. If you want to understand the modern criminal enterprise, stop looking for the guy in the ski mask with a duffel bag. Start looking at the data points, the network vulnerabilities, and the global infrastructure that has transformed every individual into a potential target. What does this pervasive, invisible threat mean for the future of privacy, security, and the very definition of personal wealth in an increasingly digital world? Share your insights and concerns in the comments below, because this new economy of crime demands a public discourse, not just a stronger lock on the digital door.